here. It's just our opinion segment. As always, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel at DJ Chaos the Mixmaster. I know some of y'all probably like, you say you the DJ, you say you DJ Mixmaster Chaos or DJ Chaos the Mixmaster. Why you never talk about music? Well, here's the thing. I try to multitask on everything, not just music. You know what I'm saying? But what goes on in our way of life, being on this planet, being in this country, you know what I'm saying? So I try to go outside the box of music for a while. But I know a lot of y'all probably don't know me like that. So, but it's going to be to the point where I'm going to be doing contents on music. But see, the thing is, I have to be very careful when I do stuff like that because of copyright infringement and all that old crazy stuff. So you know how that is. You know, we live in a wild society full of whining babies. Speaking of whining babies, the topic is basically consists of what I'm finna talk about. Spare the rod to the child. Now, what do I mean? What does that whole concept of spare the rod to a child? You know, well, to my Bible thumpers out there, you know what that means because it's in the Bible. It's about sparing the rod to the child, what consists of you disciplining the child to do what the child supposed to do. You know, is a verse in the Bible where it says something like, what it says, train the child up the way it should grow, and it won't depart from that way. Meaning that if you raise this child that you love and care about, the way it should grow, he or she will always respect himself and others the way he or she was raised. And that's the reason why discipline has always been the number one specimen in our society as far as bringing in the new generation of youngins. Because when you find yourself not sparing the rod to the child, you know, the child goes into a concept of raising himself, thinking whatever he does is the right thing when it's the wrong thing. Most people in today's society think that, you know, when they got whoopings, you know, like for example, I'll use me for example. You know, I'm 46 years old. Next month I will be 47, God willing. You know, if I grew up in a home where my mother and father, which they did, whooped me for doing things that was wrong in school or in society itself, you know, I got a whooping. And when I got a whooping, it basically made my mindset think that it was wrong. But a lot of times, you know, we'll find ourselves not knowing the wrongdoings that we did and thinking that our parents really didn't care about us. But our parents cared about us enough to know that what we did, what was wrong, should be corrected. See, like this picture right here. This is a black man who's a married husband with his wife and two children. Now, this is the family structure that I'm used to coming up back in the days, because you had both genders in the home. You had the man and you had the woman. The woman in that time knew her place as far as knowing her feminine values. Cook, clean, take care of the children, make sure the children is straight. As well as the man, he does his place as a man. He was the provider and the protector of his child, his wife, and his children. We have lost the value system of family togetherness because I've always said the powers that be goes in, who pretty much are rich capitalistic players, the original players, go in and have destroyed the concepts of the family unification because clearly he knew that the black man and woman bonded together. If the man said do something, you did it. If the woman said do something, you did it. The mother and father both had that same connection when it comes down to disciplining their kids. And it wasn't to the point where they was disciplined because they hated them. They disciplined because they loved them and they wanted the best for them, and they didn't want nobody to hurt them, or they become into the point where they get out here and be misguided. Because you got to remember, a child is God's gift to the world, to the point where he gives you this gift because this is a new life that's being brought into the world. And that new life have to go down a certain template of discipline, just like any living creature on this planet. Hell, dogs, cats, lions, tigers, hell, even insects have to train their young to do what the nature of God provided them to do. For some odd reason, the powers that be, who have the money, power, and respect, goes in and destroy the concepts of the man and woman, especially the black man and woman, of being unified enough to spare the rod to the child. Because, like I said before, this picture right here was taken in the 60s. So around that time, the civil rights movement was going on, and we were too busy trying to get the rights, trying to get, clarity on being a man in America, being a black woman in America, a black man and black woman being treated like a human being, because they didn't really see us as a human being. That was the whole concept of the civil rights movement, and getting the rights to do as others. But at that particular time, he seen that we also knew our place as far as keeping our kids intact, so that way they wouldn't get themselves into trouble, as well as themselves. So if the child did wrong, he automatically got a whooping with a belt or a switch or whatever, to give him or her the notion that when I say don't do it, don't do it. When I say do it, do it. And if you didn't do it, and if you kept on messing up, you got more to give you a reminder from the last time to not do what you didn't supposed to do. Now, we have gotten almost 50 plus years in the paint since those situations occur, to where the mother and father spare the rod to the child. And it's gotten to the point where we literally let the powers that be go in and change the dynamics of how we raise our kids, to the point where we don't do how we were raised to do. So you started getting this point where they say, we're building these private prisons, but we don't have enough inmates in them. What can we do to get the whole situation of prison inmates to fill up these prisons so we can make money off of each and every one of them? Well, most of all, we got to break up the family structure. We got to trying to find a way to get the black man up out the house, because he's the one that's basically is doing the work, and he's dominant. He's a strong-minded being, because I've seen Tyrone spare the rod to his child, and they act right. They don't disrespect him. They don't call him out on nothing. They literally respect him. He's the front runner of the home. He pays all the bills. And his wife, even if she feels some type of way, she goes along with it. We got to break that up, because this is discipline 2.0. Well, what we going to do? We got to get him out the house. We got to put him on an unemployment status and basically trade places. Let him become unemployed and her become employed. Let him become to the point where she don't need him no more, to the point where he's going to need her. But at the same time, him being out the house is going to change the dynamic of how they raise their children, because now he's not there. She's basically raising the child by herself. Okay, I don't understand. Well, here's the thing. Like I said, he's dynamic. He's dominant in his house, because what he say goes, and he's the stronger being because he's a man. She's the weaker being, which is recessive. So it's going to be a hard pill for her to swallow, to basically trying to do everything by herself. But we're going to make it to the point where she's going to get an understanding to think that, hey, I really don't need this man, and start painting pictures of him, of the man being the bad guy, the black man being the bad guy. And as long as we start doing that, then the gratification of the children in the home is not going to be as respectful with her as they would if the man was there. So what happens is, I don't want my child to be treated the way my mother and father treated me. So I'm going to give my child the benefit of the doubt, like he's a friend of mine, like she's a friend of mine, and literally tell her or him my business when I'm a grown ass woman, and and my child is a minor. But at the same time, I'm gonna treat my child like I treat a friend. So it's going to change the genetic code of a child being in his place to being in a grown person's place, meaning that he's going to get out here and think that he's equal to an average grown person. His mindset is not going to be of a child, it's going to be of a grown person in a child's body. So he's going to start doing things out of the ordinary, and it's going to get him in a lot of trouble. And he's not going to be able to understand the whole concepts of a man telling him right from wrong, wrong from right, to where he's going to start making bad decisions. Because now remember, the dominant man is not in the home anymore. So now he's literally going off the word of mouth of his mother, who's already feeling some type of way about the man. So he's going to have the same concepts as his mother in man form, young man form. as he grow up, and he's going to start making bad decisions and start doing things that will cause him to get himself in a whole lot of trouble. Shooting in crowds, shooting at clubs in the crowd, shooting at concerts, robbing, stealing, raping, killing, because the whole evilistic mindset of the powers that be has got into these young men's mindsets, because they was never they was never raised to be spared of the rod that will give them the discipline that they need to not put themselves in that position. And as long as they don't have that type of position, they're going to always find themselves in the danger zone to where they're going to be incarcerated. Now, you might say, well, why are you just picking on the black man and black woman? Because I'm a black man and I come from that. But the same applies to the white people as well, because they're no they're no goody two shoes in their society either. And it's just about the same, because most Caucasian people who have done these type of situations, shootings and carrying on, it's a little bit different, but it's about the same when it comes down to sparing the rod, because most of these young men who do acts of violence themselves and call themselves white supremacists or whatever the case may be are young men who come from rich parenting, rich homes, to where they literally are being left behind, left to not do none of the things that most kids are wanting to do with their fathers, because their fathers are always out making money, making business decisions and things of that nature. So it leads them to be more or less responsible, because the mother, she don't know what the hell to do with them herself either, because all the young man sees is my dad. I see these TV shows and movies and stuff showing the father always going, taking the child fishing and hunting and things of that nature. And so young white men are more recessive than young black men. Young black men are dominant. It's a whole different template. So you got to think about it. The young white males is basically getting whatever he wants to raise him. He's got a stereo system, he's got a television, he's got a video game, he got a laptop, he got everything that most young black men would ever want, but could never get. But the thing is, the young white boy, he's not on the level as a young black man, because he already know he can get it. But at the same time, I want love. I want time spent with me, because my mother never talked down on my father. My mother always said my father was the greatest. My father paid all the bills. My father did this. My father did that. And at the same time, my father don't show me the love and affection like my mother say he does, because my father always gone. See, on the black side of the game, the black woman has been programmed to say the opposite. Your father ain't shit. Your father dead. That father deadbeat. He's always on the go. You know what I'm saying? He don't care about you. He left us and all this old stuff. So the dynamics of the young black man is totally different, because he's not getting the same situation as the young white man is getting. So, but at the same time, by this young white boy getting what he wants in society, what has happened is he become spoiled and he become to the point where he starts on just like a young black man. He starts to raise himself to the diabolicals of life. And then when it gets to the point where his mindset starts to think otherwise, like, my dad, he don't care about me. My mother, she don't care about me. She don't care what I do. My dad don't care what I do. All he doing is buying me material shit. And then he like, let me see how my dad really do care about me. Hey dad, I want a AR-15. Okay, Junior, where you going hunting? Yeah, I'm going hunting. Okay. He goes and gets his son a AR-15. Then when he go and get his son and this AR-15, he's not going hunting like saying that he's going to show that he can shoot animals or whatever the case may be. He's going hunting for people. And most of the time, the people that he's going hunting for is the people that have done him wrong, who've called him a lame, who've called him a rich geek, or anything that literally proposed to making his heart weaken. Because, yeah, they say sticks and stones but may break my bone, but words may never hurt me. Well, it's a little bit different with the young Caucasian male. It does hurt him to the point where he don't know how to deal with it, because all he knows is he can get whatever the hell he wants. But at the same time, he's never had the gratification of, signifying back, because he don't know how to do that. All he know how to do is get even with evil, go out and shoot a couple motherfuckers and be dominant on what I did and let these motherfuckers know you won't do it again. And this is why a lot of these shootings and stuff occur, is because these young men are butthurt by the way they've been treated as a child. But the media never talks about these things, because because that's a start to wake up a nation to know that you must spare the rod to the child. Otherwise, the child's going to always be the burden in society. And the numbers are starting to rise. And it's going to continue to rise, because when you don't spare the rod to the child goes wild. And only us as parents, black and white, can break this evil curse that is plaguing our society. Stop saying that, whooping your child is like slavery, because it's not. Because by you sitting up there having a conversation with them and telling them time out and go outside and play, or just trying to feather them off, that's not gonna make things no better. It's just gonna make the child say, "Oh, they ain't gonna do nothing. They ain't gonna do nothing to me." And then by letting the powers that be go in and say some shit like, if you whoop your child, that you can go to jail, or whatever the case may be. Hell, if you got to go to jail, go to jail. At least you're going to jail for something positive, not negative. Because if you love your child, you wouldn't give a damn what the powers that be and all these motherfuckers have to say, because they're not raising your kids. Because they're not going to tell your child that it's wrong to go out here and shoot people. They trying to make money off your child shooting people. So think about that before you sit around there and say, don't spare the rod to your child. Other than that, your child is going to be your enemy. Your child's going to be society's enemy. And the only person you can blame is yourself, because you have all the chance in the world to raise that child up to be the way it should grow. That way it won't depart from that way. Your boy Chaos. Deuces.